Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 119 today for the Italian Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous one there, the Belgian Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. Obviously ended with a bit of a fire and a smoke there from our engine, and so here, hoping for a better episode here at the Italian Grand Prix. Obviously, it's been a really good place for us in the last 2 seasons, but of course, last 2 seasons we were driving a Ferrari car, so maybe that gave us a little bit of a mental boost, if you will, driving for the home favourites. But in a Red Bull Honda, hopefully we can go well. We come into this episode with 2 minor aero upgrades on the front and rear downforce, which should allow us to run lower wings, maybe here at Monza. Probably the lowest I've ever run in career mode so far on this game. But Renault finally have an upgrade. So a lot of you guys thought maybe Renault had maxed out their car completely, so that's why they're plateaued. No, it seems like they've literally just got to the last few upgrades, though, which are probably all ultimate upgrades on the end of their trees. So that's why it's taken so long for them to kind of save up resource points to actually purchase those upgrades. And then, of course, it takes 3 races or more for those ultimate upgrades to actually be produced by the team. So it took them a while. They finally come. So maybe Renault might be a little bit faster than we were hoping for here at Monza. But going into this one then, like I alluded to at the end of last episode, we are now going to have to take some grid penalties, not only for the MGU-H, but my internal combustion engine is not looking too great right now at the moment. Next episode, Singapore. Now, I'd rather take the engine penalty this race because Italy, I have a much better chance, you would say, at overtaking cars in a straight line, especially with the slipstream around Monza. So we're going to take 2 penalties, 2 5-place penalties on the internal combustion engine and the MGU-H. And then thirdly, unfortunately, we have to look at the gearbox, which is also very worn, 75%. That's definitely going to wear into the 80% margin during the race weekend if we don't change that. So unfortunately, I have to break the seal on the gearbox and get a 4th one here. So I'm going to have a total of 15 places of grid penalties. So I can still qualify. There is a point to qualifying for me because I can make a difference of 5 places, you know. And at Monza, depending on what happens at the start, you know, the difference between last place and like 15th place could be quite a lot actually in the race in grand scheme of things. So I'm going to go for it and I'm going to qualify in all 3 sessions. Hopefully, knock on wood, I'll get through all 3 sessions in the Red Bull Honda, and we'll try and go as high as we can, and then obviously ultimately take the penalty for the race. But, you know, tactically taking the penalty this race rather than next race, because next race, Singapore, it's a street circuit. I'd rather do it here because we have a good chance of doing, well, pretty much what you're seeing right now, which is slipstreaming a car. You can see we gained some time into Parabolica then off the Williams car, so hopefully this slipstream will be pretty powerful for us on Sunday, so we can actually make the moves and, you know, get back into some solid points, because so far Max Verstappen has been a man absolutely on form and on fire so far in the last couple of episodes. And also now with Renault having upgrades, they might be very good surprisingly and might really take the fight back to us, because they really haven't featured in the last few episodes in terms of raw kind of out and out pace. But we make our way through Q1 and Q2, you know, formality there for us actually, and Renault looking a little bit stronger, but Mercedes actually are the more surprising team, looking very strong. Of course, we alluded to Mercedes actually now being once again back as the best engine on the grid, even though they're quite poor everywhere else. So their engine situation might actually help them quite a fair bit here at Monza. But going to Q3, we have a bit of an issue. On top of the fact we're going to take these penalties, we have a fault on the car as we enter Q3.
Alright, get ready to jump out if you get too hot in there. There's a problem with the cooling system, and it's going to take us a few minutes to correct it.
So that's really unfortunate. You know, just over 6 minutes that fault is going to take place. Remember, Q3 is only 12 minutes long, so pretty much half the session is taken out. So, after no fault of my own, it's the kind of team's fault or the car's fault, I can only have 1 flying lap on this run. Despite me getting through Q1 and Q2 on 1 set each of super soft tyres, I have to only make 1 run, because by the time I get through, there's only 5 minutes left. If I go out straight away on 5 minutes, there's no actual mathematical way I can do 1 run, come back in and do another run. So in the end, I just wait around a little bit for the end of the session, basically, so the track grip is at its highest potentially, obviously, as everyone rubbers in the circuit. And so we have this 1 flying lap to go for here through Parabolica. At the moment, my teammate Verstappen is on pole position yet again here, provisional pole. Can we beat that though and beat him to pole position across the line? and it's just not meant to be. We're in third place there. Carlos Sainz actually pips us. There's a checkerboard of Red Bull, Renault, Red Bull, Renault. So you can see, compared to the previous qualifying sessions, Renault looking a little bit stronger there, and they're a lot closer to Verstappen in the pole time than they have been here, especially around here where the engine matters a lot there. You can also see Mercedes are pretty up there. I mean, Hülkenberg is. Hamilton, I don't know what happened with him. He got knocked out in Q2, it looks like. I actually missed that. Hülkenberg, though, does a great job to be right up there. But once again, the Honda engine working well because Gasly is also in the mix. But remember now, from P3, alas, we're going to be going down 15 places. Obviously, there's a chance it might not be exactly 15 because there might be some other people with penalties. But we're going to make the most of it here. But, you know, like I said, this is probably the best circuit to try and make a comeback drive because you just got that pure slipstream. The DRS is going to be so OP in the race. So I'm ready to go. I've only got eyes forward for, you know, even the podium I think is possible, really, to be honest, with the speed of our car as well. So let's go out there, let's get those points, and let's try and limit the damage we're going to take with these penalties.
The Italians love their cars and they love their racing. And of course, they love it here at Monza. Home race for Ferrari, of course, who've had 18 wins here since 1950. But you know, there's not been so much luck for the locals in the cockpit recently. The last Italian driver to win this race was back in 1966. So what now? I think it's time to make some more history here today. With top speeds reaching 215 miles per hour, only a few places can challenge Monza's crown as the fastest circuit in F1. Hard braking zones going into the 3 chicanes make up the majority of the 11 corners on this 3.6 mile circuit. And just in case the slipstream wasn't enough, 2 DRS zones will help encourage some closer action. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the engineer. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
So let's have a look then at the starting grid ahead of the Italian Grand Prix for Season 6 of F1 2018 Career Mode here. Familiar name on pole position, Max Verstappen, the man on fire and form so far in this career mode. The last few episodes is on pole position alongside Carlos Sainz in the first of the 2 Renaults in second place. Pierre Gasly in third place, actually, with Nico Hülkenberg in fourth, so Ricciardo taking a penalty of some sort with Alonso P5 and Perez 6th. Then Ocon in 7th, Van Dorn, Hamilton and Vettel round out the top 10 with Raikkonen P11. Bottas in 12th, Ricciardo there with a penalty in P13. Kevin Magnussen takes our 14th place. Charles Leclerc, Brendan Hartley, and then myself in P17 with Lance Stroll in 18th and Romain Grosjean and Sergei Sorokin round at the grid for the Italian Grand Prix here at Monza. Right, so we're starting in P17 then, so we're not the only one with some issues with engine penalties. Ricciardo taking one, but a little bit less so. He's down the order in what was it, 12th or 13th, I think it was. So he's going to have to make a bit of a comeback drive as well. But Verstappen, our teammate, remains on pole, so he's on course for, if he goes on to win the Grand Prix, it would be, I think, 3 wins in a row, because he won Hungary, he won the Belgian Grand Prix, so this could be the 3rd one, although this career mode had a pretty good record of cursing that record. I remember Fernando Alonso, I think even last season, was on for 3 wins in a row, and then the 3rd one he retired like with only 5 laps to go, and we ended up winning the Grand Prix and having a 1-2 for Ferrari. I think it was in Mexico. I think I'm remembering that right, but I could be wrong. It could be a different season, but definitely has been the case in the past where people have been cursed of making runs of wins in a row. It doesn't really happen too often, but anyway, for ourselves, we're making a comeback from P17. Like I said, I'm confident of it. It's going to be a 1-stop here. We're going to switch that 1-stop though from super soft to medium to super soft to soft tyre, because the tyre wear is so little now these days as we've gotten really deep into the career mode. The tyre wear on these cars really isn't that much around here, and so we'll easily make the 1-stop on the 2 softest compounded tyres available for the weekend. But it's time to get into it then as we go to 5 red lights here at Monza for the Italian Grand Prix in Season 6 of F1 2018 Career Mode. 5 lights are out and we're underway. A lot of tyre smoke coming off the back of Brendan Hartley's McLaren there on the right hand side. We make an okay getaway, but to be honest, it's not anything amazing. But it's a turn 1. We're going to take this nice and easy. Try and go down the inside because the AI get caught up in a bit of a train track on the left-hand side. We're already up into P14 then, but on the outside line, very dangerous place to be as yellow flags are behind. Oh my god, there's a huge pile up behind into turn 1, so we'll have to look at a replay then and see what went on, but we're up into P14, all clean for us. But let's have a look then straight away. What on earth was this pile up then, it looked like? And oh, Leclerc, I think that is. Yeah, Leclerc spins around the Haas. He hits the Williams car. And I think the other Haas, Magnussen, is caught up on the left-hand side of Grosjean there. And so that is very unfortunate for everyone involved. Oh no, that's Magnussen, sorry. So Magnussen got spun round. Grosjean's the one that then got caught up in the gravel there. But there we we are very lucky we didn't get caught up. Literally, Magnussen spun right behind us, or the left-hand side of us. We are very lucky not to be, punted by Magnussen. If Leclerc came with any more force, he could have pushed the Haas car right into me then. So we got off, actually, scot-free, and very, very lucky. The Williams also did. So, yeah, very peculiar, a near kind of pile-up almost there into turn 1. But now we make a move down the inside of Kimi Raikkonen then, and getting past the Ferrari with ease. So how times change, last 2 seasons, I was the one flying around this circuit in the lead of the Grand Prix in a Ferrari at the Italian Grand Prix, and now the Ferrari is getting past very easily as Vettel tries to close up on this scrap happening Parabolica, and we might have a very good chance of making some overtakes here. Germany getting held up a little bit on the exit of Parabolica, so we're already neck and neck as we go to the line for lap number 2, up into P12. It could be 3 places here. It's a 3-man overtake possibly as we go 4 wide down the main straight here at Monza. Cut back to the racing line, and we're up into P9. Lock up on the front right, do some defensive work against Valtteri Bottas there, but that is a very, very tasty overtake, including that was on Dan Ricciardo, who was struggling to actually pass those guys, and the other car was a Mercedes or Lewis Hamilton there. Absolutely amazing scenes there. Ricciardo on the left, Hamilton, Bottas, and then myself there on the right hand side, 4 wide at Monza. Absolutely awesome. And I think Ricciardo tried to also successfully get past Hamilton there. He actually tried to get past Bottas as well, but Bottas squeezed him out, fair play. And so now we move back on to our POV, and this is still lap 2 actually. The action's kicking off as Fernando Alonso gets pushed and shoved and bullied off the road a little bit by the Force India there, and so we catch up to him, and now there's a big old train again in Parabolica. These guys are going side by side so much, and they're holding each other up so much as Verstappen, I'm guessing, waltzing away in first place as he sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix. So that's unfortunate for me versus my teammate, but we get past Fernando Alonso with ease then, and now it's a 2-by-2 situation here. We've got Sergio Perez alongside Nico Hülkenberg, and then 2 more cars alongside each other. I think it's the Toro Rosso of Pierre Gasly, and it looks like, I think that's Carlos Sainz. I think Sainz has had a horrendous getaway in this Grand Prix, and he's side by side with Pierre Gasly instead of battling my teammate Verstappen, who, by the way, you can see on the mini-map, is nowhere to be seen. He's got such a huge gap already, so he's definitely got a lot of pace, but also this car is very, very quick around this circuit. So we make a dive bomb, we're going to switch back move and do a textbook switch back on Nico Hülkenberg and embarrass him in front of that grandstand there on the right-hand side and get up into P7, squeeze him out, and so now we're going to chase off to Sergio Perez there, but a very tasty move, very satisfying when you can make a switch back move like that work, and it's almost just perfect to perfection. But now we move on as we go towards Parabolica again on lap 4. This is have to really wrestle the car into a straight line over that curbing there, but Perez goes for a move, he goes to the left, goes to the right, can't make it work there on the Toro Rosso, I think that is, as Carlos Sainz has gotten away. And so we file through now, Parabolica flying through and get a nice slingshot move here. And so now can we make a double pass on the Toro Rosso and Force India here of Perez. We're going to pull to the left-hand side. Perez is going to pull to the right-hand side. It's 3 wide momentarily on Van Dorn and Perez there. Van Dorn does well to defend against me there in the Toro Rosso car, and he's trying to move around the outside, but ultimately we have the line there. And meanwhile, Carlos Sainz goes side by side with Esteban Ocon there, and Ocon trying to get the slipstream of the Spaniard as we go through the curve to the next chicane there. Gasly in no man's land in second place there, and so there goes Ocon on the outside. Carlos Sainz very defensive. Those two hold each other up so much that look how much I'm gaining on them, and we're right up behind Carlos Sainz as we enter the next right-hander. A bit too much though, because he brake checks us a little bit. Ocon swipes across him, and so I lose so much time having to brake and not hit the back of Sainz that we actually lose a place to Stoffel Van Dorn. So that's very unfortunate. I have to try and re-overtake Van Dorn as we go towards Ascari, with Perez also hounding me on the inside there. And whilst we're focused on that, Ocon and Carlos Sainz still scrapping away side by side through Ascari now and losing each other a lot of time because Van Dorn is right on the back here. And so this might be another double pass on the Toro Rosso and a Force India. This time it's the same Toro Rosso, it's just a different Force India now of Esteban Ocon. It's now Van Dorn's the one following the Force India car, rather the other way around it was. And Carlos Sainz is actually surprisingly not getting away from Ocon too much there. He's still very much kind of almost at the start of that train. And as we go through on towards lap 6, DRS available to us, of course, overtake mode. Rich Mix going, can we make the double pass here as we're gaining? Do we gain enough? But Ocon makes a move on Sainz. We're going to make the move on Van Dorn. No, not quite. We had a look, but I got a tyre on the grass there, so I got so close to losing the back end potentially. So unfortunately, it's taken us like now nearly a whole lap, and we're still not past these guys. And we're actually still in P6 now as we go through Parabolica. Ocon and Van Dorn scrapping away side by side. Now you can see on the minimap Carlos Sainz is away from these guys as these two are now fighting each other a bit too much. And so now we're going to have DRS pull on the left hand side. It's a little bit close for comfort as Van Dorn squeezes us on the grass. But we're up into P4 now with a double pass there. Very nice stuff. And so now it's only Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly that separates me and Max Verstappen for a 1-2 for Red Bull Honda here. So like I said, I only had eyes for the podium. We're already up into P4 and it's only lap 8. So really just about now, can I get past Carlos Sainz and Gasly? Those two respectively might give me a much bigger fight than the others have, because you would say the Renault should be good around here. Obviously we overtook Ricciardo with ease, but that was because we were in a 4-way scrap there. But now, to be fair, saying that, we are gaining on Sainz very much so quickly. Around the outside we go. We almost dance around him because we have a bit of a drift on the rear end. And we make it work so easily. And we're up into P3. What on earth has happened to Renault now? They have an upgrade for this weekend, and yet they seem so slow, because I waltzed around Carlos Sainz. That might just be more of an indication of how strong our car is, because we're up into P2 now, because Gasly made a pit stop then. We now move on to the end of lap 12. We're going to continue on for one more lap, because Verstappen is going to come in on this lap. I wanted to come in this lap, but Verstappen takes priority there, so he's in, as Hamilton retires from the Grand Prix. So we're up into first place now of the Italian Grand Prix. Clean air, pushing as hard as we can, because this is our in-lap effectively on lap 13, coming in now for a set of soft tyres. But Verstappen now, let's talk about him. He's massively ahead of us now. We've still got to overtake Gasly, of course, but then the hope is we will get Gasly eventually, so we will make it second place, and then it's going to be about where on earth is Verstappen in terms of relation to us. How far is he? Because to be honest, it looked like from the mini-map he was a good like 10 seconds at least ahead of Gasly. So, you know, I said about, you know, maybe the curse coming through of career mode. I honestly think that's not going to happen unless he has a very fluky retirement at the very end of the Grand Prix. I think he might be on for a very good third win on the trot here, which would be kind of scary in the way. We haven't seen Verstappen be that consistent ever in the game, let alone real life. But at least for our race's sake, we're right behind Pierre Gasly now, very close actually on the pit exit. So we're up into P3 still. We maintain that gap, and we actually closed up probably a little bit with a bit of an overcut here with the speed we have in the car. And now we're going to close up through Ascari, then on lap 14 and towards Parabolka. We might actually get this move done before Parabolka, and the main straight here as we pull on the left-hand side there. Gasly squeezes us a little bit. He's on medium tyres, so he doesn't have too much grip, and so we swipe across into the racing line, and we're up into second place. And so that makes it a 1-2 for Red Bull Honda at the Italian Grand Prix. How about that? What a comeback this is for us, up into second place. But unfortunately, that is how far Verstappen is. He's already through turns 1 and 2 as I'm making my way across the line. He's, I think, about 13 seconds ahead of me at the moment. And so the story of the rest of the Grand Prix from lap 14 to 27 was I pushed as hard as I could, tried to use ERS modes, rich mix as much as I could, and pushed on. In the end, I got away from Pierre Gasly. You know, I was pulling away by a fair few seconds by the end of it, and actually Carlos Sainz ends up overtaking Gasly for third place. So fair play, the Renault man recovers a little bit from this poor start from the front row and gets on the podium. But as much as I pushed, I got away from the rest of the grid. I just couldn't catch Verstappen. So clearly our car is very good anyway, better than the rest around this race. But then car to car, Red Bull to Red Bull, I just couldn't match Verstappen. This guy, I don't know what the AI is on, but it's on some sort of crack at the moment, because he's been so quick for the last 3 episodes. It's almost like it's the Fernando Alonso AI syndrome when I was with Alonso in season 3 in the McLaren. You know, remember back to season 3, it's quite some time ago now, but you know, Fernando was so quick, and so I just can't match Verstappen right now. So I just got to put my hands up, and at the moment I've got to find something in the next few episodes to try and diffuse this momentum Verstappen's had, because otherwise he will come knocking for my championship lead at the moment. But all I can say right now is fair play, GG's. Max Verstappen wins the 3rd race in a row now here in the career mode season 6 here for the Italian Grand Prix. But we make a very good recovery from P17 to 2nd place to make it a 1-2 for Red Bull at the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. That is a pretty satisfying race there for me.
Great drive. We're really happy with that performance.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. And Anthony Davidson, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
Well, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, we could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
And I can see now the drivers are making their way out. We need Red Bull fighting at the front. They do an incredible amount for Formula One, and that's another winner's trophy heading back to Milton Keynes.
So it's a really tasty and solidifying 1-2 then for Red Bull Honda, but of course second place still, 7 points lost to Verstappen then in the championship. Ricciardo actually made a pretty okay recovery there to P7 to say that he seemed to be a bit more caught up in traffic there. Carlos Sainz in third, so he kind of keeps up as best he can in the championship, but now you can see Verstappen has overtaken Carlos Sainz. He's up into second place. It's a 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship now for the actual standings, but I'm the one still in first place. Still got a bit of a lead against Verstappen, but like I said, he's now won 3 races in a row now. He's on a total of, I think, 5 wins in this season so far, or maybe 4. So he's on it. He's really on it. I need to somehow stop this now. Next episode, Singapore, it might be a good place to, you know, if we can qualify ahead of him or just get ahead of him somehow and then defend. Obviously, it's going to be harder for him to overtake around Singapore, but at least in constructors, us two performing like this means we're getting away from Renault quite substantially, actually.
You were cutting your way through the field during the race.
Of course, going to compliment the power unit really here at Monza. Nothing else really makes much more of a difference apart from that Honda power.
You must be thrilled to be up on the podium.
Gonna say thrilled but expecting it, because I literally said that I was aiming for the podium and I got the podium, so I'm not too surprised, to be honest.
You're beating all expectations. Would you say we all underestimated you?
Gonna say yes and say, yeah, quite frankly, I'm offended by that phrase, to be honest.
You had a close battle today, didn't you?
It's a close battle in the rivalry. It wasn't a close race on track, but yeah, I'm going to say too close is a thorn.
Great. Well, that's everything.
So definitely the rivalry is heating up a fair bit with Verstappen now. He's, you know, beaten me 3 times in a row to the race win. So yeah, I'm the first driver in the team contractually. So, you know, it is getting a little bit, you know, the mood's changing a little bit. It's changing from working as a team to win the constructors and, you know, him just doing the best job he can, the best job I can. It's now turning more into a kind of, you know, Red Bull v Red Bull kind of inter-team fighting in a way. And so that might get a little bit tense. You never know. I think Christian Horner's definitely going to have that nervous leg tick he has in real life quite a few times on the pit wall maybe as we go to the end of this season. It's definitely hotting up a fair bit. But guys, if you did enjoy that episode, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, do subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.